boys is getting quiet. Go on and get crunk. Head back to Longview, Kelly popping trunk. I ain't even tripping. Riding and I'm sipping. Let me come through, 4-4 steady tipping. On that new lap. Watch the trunk crack. Let me sit sideways, CB running back. Maybe AP, maybe AD. I ain't even tripping cause we some athletes. Messing with Smitty in the summertime. He get pissed if we don't make our time. But we gon' get it, cause we gotta finish. Nebraska Horn Hustlers, man, we diminished. Put them boys little, paint like a skittle. I ain't even tripping, I ain't never double dribble. Cause I'm a player from the Himalaya. Let me sit sideways, man. Maybe back door, maybe fall off. Sipping codeine cause I gotta kill a cough. Let me sit sideways in the big Benz. Oh, you boys, they my brothers, they my friends. Holla at Coach Sumlin, holla at the Stoops. Let me sit sideways in the two-door coupe. Cause I'm sitting clean, foes on the lean. Look at my pants, got a sag in my jeans. Let me sit sideways cause I'm steady coming. PT throwing that ball, let us humming. I'ma gon' catch it, I'ma gon' wretch it. Man, I'm sitting sideways, boy, shoulder naked today.
All right. Welcome to Fullback U. Got 3 All-Americans with me, man. Blessed to just have my brothers with me, Derrick Strait, Roy Williams, and Rufus Alexander. First of all, appreciate y'all being around. We're gonna start out. We just played the Malcolm Kelly freestyle, so y'all got to let me know, man, which bar line of Strait, you can start it off. Which line of the Malcolm Kelly freestyle hits you the hardest?
The whole thing, really, though, because it's it's a Texas thing, and the way we get down and the way we rap and all of that. So it's just the feeling and emotion of the flow of how he felt about the whole OU, everything, about beating Nebraska, everybody, you know what I'm talking about?
What you think, Roy?
I actually was in the league when that was going on, and I was like, man, that is most definitely Texas Southern draw right there. You know, South Side, Big Mo, and
all of that,
you
yeah.
know what I'm saying? So, I mean, the whole flow was pretty cool, you know what I mean? It just shows you OU's excitement, you know what I'm saying, of how we get down and how we come, the camaraderie in the locker room. So, I mean, I enjoyed the whole thing.
Yeah. What you think, Ruth?
I mean, for me, was the whole PT throwing the ball and this humming. That was like the PT. Been through a whole lot that whole entire year because the year before that got, put on as a wide receiver. They put Bo Morris, made him the chosen one. He had to come back without doing anything all summer, quarterback-wise, and take the team all the way to a Big 12 championship. So, PT name being in that was kind of, I think, even like the bigger thing, the bigger story out of all of it because of just everything he had to go through just to be the quarterback at the University of Oklahoma. After being benched by Bomar, he could have just left. I think he would have been in the portal if it was like this the way it is now. He would be in the portal because that boy PT could play quarterback, and he had one of the quickest releases as a quarterback. So that line right there kind of hit home with everybody in the locker room too.
So I got to let everybody know we call this show Fullback U, and that's no disrespect to none of y'all. Y'all are my brothers, man. But why I did this show, see, Roy's already laughing. He already know, man. We both wore 38, you know what I'm saying? But y'all 3 are All-Americans, and I'm not. So what do y'all think about fullbacks not being All-American? And here's the thing. I know Strait and Roof are going to hopefully, they were around me, so I know they really, really got my back. But Roy, I backed up with 38, so I had to make it known that I was a hard hitter. But Strait, what do you think about us fullbacks, man?
I respect it. Like you said, it's fullbacking is something that you got to go up there and buckle up your chin strap and take your ass out there to go make some. You know what I mean? Your job is to hit somebody basically. And nowadays, the way they throwing people out of games and all this other stuff, it's kind of difficult. But at the same time, on the fullback side, you be the one get to deliver the blows.
Yeah, Roy, what you got?
I feel like it kind of hurt.
Straight up. I'm hurt. No, listen. You want to know what hurts the most? I'm gonna be 1,000% real with you. Is when you see it in the newspaper and somebody says former All-American Roy Williams. Man, they just say JD. It's just JD Runnels. And I'm like, damn.
Let them know you're an athlete and you sensitive about this shit.
Absolutely.
You're emotional about this.
Absolutely.
No, I mean, I honestly don't feel like fullbacks get enough, credit because, I mean, honestly, the fullback is, most definitely they're playing like 3 positions at one. You know what I'm saying? They're honestly, no disrespect when I say this, they're like a lineman because they got to block. They got to get in their trenches. They got to chip block, D-ends, whatnot. And then, you know what I'm saying, you got to pass protect, you got to lead block, you got to catch the ball off the backfield, and you got to run with the ball. You know what I mean? They don't most definitely get enough credit. And I mean, it's a very underappreciated, not appreciative position on the football field.
Ruf was my warrior brother. We had plenty of these battles, so I know Ruf is my dog.
Hey, I mean, it's just they're the ultimate utility guy on offense. They're that guy that go out there and, I mean, like Roy said, the blocking, the running, and you have to pass protect, all that stuff. And then I remember as a freshman, JD coming in and putting boys down.
Yeah, I always used to hate facing JD out in the flats because I knew either we was gonna bang or he gonna slip me and go out for the little pass. So it was like shit.
And I remember my freshman year, man, he put a few guys out. He put a few guys out, get that fat pad on their shoulder because you have to lean in on that power. When they running that power and JD coming out to kick you out, and you have to be a different type of person to do that over and over again. And I watched JD put what's old boy name from Derrick Johnson for Texas, put him in the fetal position, coming out there lead blocking. I watch him do it over and over again, and I watch him make that man fold in a game where a fullback would come to the hole and he would go for his legs, put him out of the game. I mean, that's what a fullback does to a linebacker. And coached by BV, I mean, he was telling you, middle linebacker, will linebacker, y'all hit him head on. Both of y'all supposed to put him in the backfield. And shit. Boy, JD.
Hey,
I got him on your own. Whoever he hit.
Yeah.
To retweet what he said, man, I had to earn it through BV. And something that Strait said in college, somebody asked him, who's harder to guard, Rashawn Woods or Roy Williams? And he says, Mark Clayton. And I firmly believe Strait because, man, I knew what practice was like going against BV and inside, Mike Stoops and those guys. Roy smiling already. I already know. Because them insides was no joke. And y'all defense, man, and we need to hit on that just, then versus now, just if you guys are close to the team as well, just if the practices are the same way. But we'll get into that. But I want to give our sponsor a shout out. Our sponsor is Chris Hammonds. So, do you have a funny ham-bone story, D. Strait?
Nah, just covering him because he's big. He was all in college. He was big and hefty, so he wasn't no shuck and jive. He was gonna grab you, move you out the way. If I got him, he on the end of the line, so I gotta defend everything. So I'm like, don't put your hands on him. Just let him do his move and run off and just cover him and leave him alone because. If he got the ball anywhere in his vicinity, he was catching it, though. Yeah.
Roy, I know you knew Hambone pretty well. What you think?
Hambone, the homie, man. I respected the hell out of Hambone, man. More than anything, I was fucking scared of that.
Yeah.
He had that look in his eye like he's an ex-con, like he didn't kill somebody before.
On the way to, like, right?
I don't think but one of y'all's old strength coaches, Jason Bushers, had a great quote about Hambone, just talking about how, and no disrespect, Roy, no disrespect, but his quote, it wasn't me that said it, but his quote was, the 2000 team may not have out-athleted everybody, but they'll meet you behind a dark alley and whoop your ass. I mean, straight up. I mean, so, and he said, Hambone.
We got those dogs. We wasn't no 5-star,
none of that.
4-star. We were all some blue-collar workers.
Yeah.
Transitioning to new positions and everything.
The thing about it, my freshman year, I forgot what game it was, and I watched D. Strait on punt team. It was punt return, right? It was punt return.
You probably
it was punt return. Yeah. And that dude got one of the gunners coming out, smashed him, and got over the top of him. I'm a dog.
Yeah.
Good. Like the dude was trying to get up, and he said, "Man, stay down. I'm a dog." I was like, I remember that as a true freshman, watching him do that to another guy is just like something that I wanted to play with. And that's what the guys that did before me, like with Book, would come out there. Yeah. He was the same way, man. And it was all those guys. I never had the privilege to play with Roy, but man, watching those guys play, I can only imagine what it was like playing with you guys, especially after hearing the stories of what y'all went through in '99 to get to 2000.
See, that was my point. It was like when I came in, I was like, they had already did what they did in '99, so it was like, shit, what you gonna do? You a redshirt freshman, you know what I mean? It's like they already got something established already because we had just won like 7-8 games to the Independence Bowl and whatnot. So it was like, shit, all right, I'm gonna start. But it ain't good enough just to start. Just because you young, you fresh, it ain't good enough to start. You got to hold your own because they expecting you to. You know what I mean? It ain't like, but they was older. Like you said, it's better to play with older people that's out there because you know what to expect. and I always knew what to expect with Roy, Rocky, Torrance. All of them boys was out. CC, all of them was out there. They was all older, but they had already been through the wars and all of that shit. So it was like, we don't need no weak link out here. We need you to come in and play your part so we can sew up the rest of the defense and that shit. That's what we went out there and pretty much did.
Let's go through it. Where are they now? If a fan comes up to you straight and asks you, where are they now? What do you tell them? Where are you at now?
I'm in Oklahoma City right now, getting into real estate. That's why I'm moving back to Texas again. But I'm trying to get real estate up here in Oklahoma and in Texas right now.
What about you, Roy?
Yeah, I've been living back in Oklahoma about 8 years now. Started a security company. We got over 1,000 employees. We operate in about 20 states. Turned one security company into 4 other companies. We have 2 safety companies, Global 7 EH&S, Environmental Health and Safety, and then we have a drug testing company, and I own a camera company as well. So I'm just keeping my head down, man.
Being Superman.
Yeah, not to mention he played a little football
right,
too. So,
yeah.
That's all.
Superman being Superman. Throwing the cape on.
That's it.
Yeah. What about you, Ruth?
Man, I'm doing insurance, man. Clocking it in, one house, one car, one business at a time, making it happen. And the other thing I do is do sideline for OU. Get to go to all the home and away games and just get to kind of stay around the team. So just little stuff like that.
So let's talk, everybody. Let's get to it. Everybody want to hear about the defense. How do you feel, Strait? How do we fix this? So if you want, let's just start about last year. How you feel about last year? What do you think going forward?
Last year was last year. That's what I'm gonna leave at that. Shit, we just gonna leave that right there. Last year was last year, but really, I think young guys was out there making plays, but you got to string them all in the same row, and y'all got to be on the same page. So I think hopefully once this year, Grinch come in and get them all on the same page, and then boys can get out there and play fast instead of thinking so much. Then everything should be better. Hopefully,
Roy, you were close to the team. What you think? You were at every home game, I believe. I don't know if you went to the away games.
By default.
By default, okay.
we did all the security for the parking lots. It's kind of sad because it's like, man, everybody was wanting Mike's head, and wanting him out. But it's like when you watch the players play, in the first part of the season, they played very hard. They played well. And then, I don't know at what point why there was a drop off, but it was a drop. Big 12 is a totally different beast now from what it was back when I was there. And you create a lot of mismatches, and then yes, I was up at the practices and sitting in the meetings, and then when for me, when I'm watching film and I'm like, okay, asking Coach, hey, what's his coverage? And they're like, yeah, he's a deep third. I'm not gonna say no names, but to say you're a deep third and you shouldn't be getting beat deep, and you're getting beat deep, and then I go up to him and it's like, hey, why'd you get beat? Why you playing one? Why you playing man? And getting, and you're supposed to be in 3 and you're getting beat deep, or why are you even out jamming and you're supposed to be in a 3 deep zone, and I'm just, things just don't make sense, It's just the day and age now of the kids that are getting recruited. It's a what can you do for me mentality. More of it's more of a privilege to be able to suit up and be a Sooner, and I feel that. Going back to the statement of having, older guys, it's tough to have older guys because older guys, they have this mentality now of, doing it the wrong way. They're not doing it the right way right now. And I don't know if Coach Grinch can come in and turn it around and, get them. And it's not even playing. It is all about playing on the same page, but at the same time, it's about, what you have inside your chest. It's all about your heart. And I feel that some of those guys, and it's no disrespect, I just feel that they don't have that it right now. And it's not their athletic ability, it's about that, I'm playing national televised TV and I'm okay with getting embarrassed. I'm not okay with that. I'm sorry. I'm not okay with cool. No, it's not cool. I don't feel that when you suit up and you're ready to play on national televised TV and you're getting embarrassed and you're just smiling on the sideline. You know what I mean?
always led by example. I never was one to, open my mouth and cuss somebody out, but, you know what I'm saying? Except for a meeting.
Don't get Rufus started.
Except for a meeting, but...
We're going to talk about that, don't worry.
But at the same time, it's just like, it's like, at what point are you going to get tired of being embarrassed in a playoff game and getting exposed? You know what I mean? There was one guy that tried to make a tackle and he was unsuccessful and he got hurt. And I was talking to him the week before the practice, and I'm like, dude, this is how you need to. It's like when you're breaking down somebody how to tackle. You know what I'm saying? There's no reason in hell, unless you just that much bigger than them. You know what I mean? There's no reason to hit somebody up high because you're going to get ran over. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Your target needs to be kneecap. You know what I'm saying? Shin or ankle. That's where your target needs to be. You don't need to be. You're not that strong to be trying to hit somebody up high when they're running at you full speed. You're going to get ran over. And and it's just how you try to tell and try to teach people and, tell them how to do it, and they don't do it, and then they end up getting hurt. You know what I mean? Then you're just like, dude, you're not coachable. And, and it's just sad. I mean, I hope that Coach Grinch and those guys can get it turned around. And I hope the guys understand that it's not acceptable to, look like trash in a nationally televised game.
I think at the end of the day, they got to stop being their friends too. I mean, there's a lot of tiptoeing around people's feelings and stuff, and people getting in their feelings, and a lot of arguing back with coaches, and you see that. That's why they had to put Mike up in the box, because he was just a different guy. He was so used to coaching other guys where he could really just dive in, and the guys take the coaching and go out there, and then they respond. And now kids they don't respond to that. They just go the opposite direction. They just shut down, and they get in the game, and they come back to the sideline and just kind of throw their hands up. I try to do what you said do. Yeah. And that's kind of like the way it is. I mean, watching y'all can speak for the secondary, but I mean, watching the linebackers, I've never seen a group of guys that were so poor with their technique and so unaware of what's happening when a guy motion, when a guy moves. We was so trained and so coached to, like, if they do this is going to happen. If this happens, we go to this. If that happens, we know this they're going to do one or two things. And now it's just not like that. I watch, young men go in there and they get cut block. I mean, if an offensive lineman come at him, those guys are on the ground. If they go to cut block him now, all linemen on the ground. I went back and I watched a play they had Dusty up there. We played against UCLA, and they ran a zone against Dusty.
He killed it.
They tried a one block.
He killed it.
They tried to get him with one guy. I mean, he took the center and put him in the backfield, but what they didn't see was the other guys, the linebackers. Mm-hmm. One, a guard tried to cut me, played the cut block. I was there to make the tackle if Dusty missed it. Zach Latterman was front side. He already had hit the gap downhill, so the guy couldn't cut him, and he already dipped and ripped, so he was there to make the tackle. Then on the backside, the defensive end had already shuffled down and broke down, so the guy bounced back and cut back the other way. He was there, so everything was squeezed. Yeah. And you saw the technique and how defenses played beautifully, and now you don't even see that anymore. You just kind of see a bunch of guys on the ground, or guys kind of out there doing their own thing, playing for themselves. And playing football, what I learned when I got to OU was it's about doing your job and counting on the other guy to do his job. Yeah. And what was so beautiful about BV and Mike's defense is when somebody was out the gap, they know exactly who to go to. Yeah. If it went through the C gap, who got the C gap? Where he at? Who got that look?
You're right about that.
Yeah. If a pirate happened and that somebody cut back and ran through the C gap, linebacker was getting his ass chewed no matter what. And he's coming from the sideline, and that person making a beeline for BV because his eyes are wide and he know where the ball went and why it went that way and what you wasn't looking at. Yeah. And now these guys come to the sideline, they don't know what happened. They don't know who to go to. You can ask the guy what happened. He don't know what happened. He don't know where the block came from. I watched Kenneth Murray get killed by a guard, and the dude didn't even know it was coming. I mean, bro, and I'm looking at the sideline, so you don't even see this guard coming, and boom, clean him up on the ground. I was like, ooh, well, you're gonna have to learn. You're gonna learn the hard way, and it was against Tulane. I think it was against UTEP. That big guard from UTEP hit him in the mouth so hard, I was like, man, I don't know if he's going to make it the whole season. You ain't going to be taking that guy on like that, man. And I don't think these guys are learning or putting it or translate when they seen on film and putting it out there and putting it on the field. It's just not. It's not even mixing together at all. It hasn't even clicked for them yet.
Straight talk about the Mike Stoops firing, and then if you don't mind, I will run it through each one of y'all. But talk about your defensive coordinators in the NFL, who you had at the Jets. You came to spend some time with me in Chicago. Just your pro football D coordinators.
Yeah, with Mike, because the thing about Mike is, it's not. He's just a fiery dude. He's gonna yell. He's gonna do all of that. But it ain't the way that he's saying. It's what he's saying to you that what should matter. And once you listen to what he's saying and go out and do what he's trying to tell you to do, it don't matter how he said the shit. But when he said it and you go out and do that, then everything will be all right. Everything always worked out in that kind of way. And it was, it was sad to see him go. But at the end of the day, you felt like they needed to make a change, and they did. And shit in the league, what was it? Coach Rivera, he was a defensive. I had him when I was in Carolina, but in Chicago.
Yeah, he's in Chicago too. Who'd you have with the Jets?
With the Jets,
was it Rex Ryan?
No, it was Donnie Henderson.
That's right.
I remember when he went to the Jets, he played cover 2.
Donnie Henderson. Yeah,
straight gonna do. I was like, you killing cover 2.
They had me on the inside then, though. That's why I was like, shit, all right, it was different. You know what I'm talking about? But it was fun as fuck, though. You know what I'm saying? Because it was moving and shaking.
Roy, what you think? Mike and your pro coordinators.
I was sad to see him go. I was more sad the fact. I was disappointed on him being let go in the middle of the season. Yeah. I felt like he should have had he should have been treated. He deserved better than getting to let go in the middle of the season. But after taking a step back and looking at the bigger picture, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, Ruffin was already there. They brought Dablo in, and they had Mike. You know what I'm saying? It was so looking at it, it's like, man, you only had one bad game and you gone. You know what I mean? It was like it was already set up, but you're about to get backfilled. But like Strait said, I mean, it's not. Mike was a fiery guy.
Because he yelled and cussed at everybody.
Yeah, everybody.
Everything.
I mean, everybody. There was people getting hit with friendly fire too. You know what I mean? Everybody got it. You know what I mean? It is what it is. But what I told the young guys before the season, this year and last year, was it's like to better understand Mike and his coaching philosophy, you need to go in there and spend some time with him. Yeah. Because that's what I did. You know what I mean? I said, if you want to be, you know what I'm saying, they want to call me a great at OU. I was like, understand what I did. You know what I mean? I used to beat Mike into the meeting room and watch film with him, you know what I'm saying, for at least about an hour, at least 30 to an hour and a half. I was in there before I went to class just to understand, you know what I'm saying, what he's calling, and when he's calling it, why is he calling it? You know what I mean? So when it came to game time, I was so well prepared. I mean, that's why Coach would say that I looked like I was bored, because I was ready for every damn play. You know what I'm saying? It was just that easy for me. But I was telling them young kids, I was like, yo, you guys just need to spend some time with them. And so this summer, when they took a group picture of me, Tommy, and Teddy, I asked them, I said, yo, how many of y'all remember me telling y'all need to spend some time with y'all coaches? Everybody put their hand up, right? I told them to put their hands up. Then I said, how many of y'all want to, you know what I'm saying, win a national championship? Everybody had their hands up. I said, all right, now keep your hands up. Now, everybody put their hands up if this doesn't apply to you. I said, how many of y'all took the advice of me to spend some time with y'all coaches? I promise you about 75% of their hands went down. And I said, so you guys are telling me you guys want to be the best and win national championships, but you guys aren't even putting the time in? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that, that was so eye-opening for me.
Nothing come easy.
And no, it doesn't. I mean,
nothing come easy.
I mean, it's not. I mean, it's very hard. I mean, and granted, it's nice and all fine and dandy to win Big 12 championships, but the way I look at a Big 12 championship is just like this. Like when I played high school ball, it was the NBA. That's your league championship. Yeah. That's how I look at it. That's how I look. That's how. Yeah. That's how I look at it. And that's no disrespect. Yeah. That's how I look. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I'm totally happy that they got back to back Big 12 championships, but that don't mean anything unless you win the big boy. You know what I mean? Like it was said from my Bob's mouth that we ain't getting Big 12 championship rings if we didn't win the national championship.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah.
But now everybody gets a ring. You know what I mean? And they're celebrating Big 12 championships, which that's all fine and dandy. But I mean, when you set your expectations that low, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How are you gonna, you know what I'm saying, have a mindset of being a national champion
For a whole season.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just.
Yeah, 'cause
But you know that's just what it is. And then defense coordinators, I damn near had Mike Zimmer the whole way through. You know, and then we had Wade Phillips. And then I had Mike again. That's it.
What about you, Roof?
I mean, a lot of what Roy said, you know, as far as Mike being there, and I had Coach Venables, but the same rules apply, man. I mean, I watched Teddy and those guys. They'll be in the film room with my redshirt freshman year. I watched those guys. They were in the film room all the time, Lance and all of them. And the guy that wasn't in the film room a lot was Pasha. And he was a casualty. I mean, you go back, kid. You go back and you watch. He was a big kid, had a lot of talent, but he was never in the film room like the other guys. So he never became that guy on the field that he could be. And he lost a lot of. He could have done really great at what he was doing. And as I became, whenever Lance had to come back his senior year, I would always go with Lance. I'd be in the film room with Lance. So it got to a point where I was calling the calls, knew what was coming, and all that stuff. And the guy that really helped me out was Gayron. And that's what speak to the team and the players that we had before, because Gayron knew every position. He knew Mike Long.
He had to, though. I remember he had to.
Played all of them.
That's why I said he had to.
He played all of them, and whenever BV would be like 10 miles that way, he would say, if you do this, it'll take care of all the other ones. All the other steps. And I was like, oh, okay, now that makes sense. And so I learned a lot from Gayron, and then when I became like the guy, I guess, or whatever, the leader of the team, I was always in there with Coach V. I would be in there like an hour early, getting film, understanding what he's calling in. And Coach Venables has such a great mind, and him and Mike worked so well together because BV was so analytical. And he was like 80%, and whenever this comes, they come out in this formation, what's the top 3 plays that's coming? If the guard does this, it's 90% this right here. So you knew to go that way whenever the guard did a certain move. And that's what made it so cool, because that's what I started to love about football, because it was a chess match every damn day. Yeah. Every time we went to practice, it was a chess match. And he honed in on that shit. He was like, hey, you better be in this film room. I'm going to come down to the film room and see where you at.
Yeah, but then when the game came, shit, it was like...
It was second nature. Yeah, it was go.
It was like run. It was like go. And like from what Roy was saying earlier about tackling somebody and stuff, I remember BV, we'll go in our drills every day. We did tackling drills just about every damn day. Yeah. He'll put a cone on the goal line. And Lance Mitchell, 250 pounds, 260 pounds coming down here. He said, you got to stop him from scoring a touchdown. I look at that man like, shit, Lance would just lean into you. He would go in the end zone. So you have to learn how to hit people and stuff and figure things out. And those are the type of things you took into your mind whenever you go into practice. You go from the film room, you go into practice, and he will go over the tackling drills with you and said, why you going to take on a guy that big, hit him in the chest? He gonna look at it. Why you gonna hit a guy that big in the chest? It's like, that just don't make no damn sense. Yeah. You better hit Lance low. So, there's different things, and I don't think these kids taking it over that way. And, it was hard to see Mike go, but I think they needed a change because those kids wasn't responding to him. Yeah. And Mike was driving himself more crazy than anything because there was a lot that was going on in the backdrop that nobody really saw. And Mike was really driving himself crazy, trying to make things happen, and you could see they wasn't on the same page on the back end. They wasn't on the same page.
But like you said, at the end of the day, the kids gotta listen and want to be. You know what I mean? Want to be, like Roy said, in the right position.
It's got to be extra. It's got to be extra. You can't just learn it in position meetings. You cannot learn what you need to learn, especially as a defensive player starter, just in position meetings.
But then after leaving OU and going to Minnesota, I had Leslie Frazier was my defensive coordinator, and that dude was as monotone as anybody you'd ever see. He would put you to sleep, but from what I learned from Coach Venables, I knew everything that the Vikings was doing. It was almost identical to OU's defense. And then I went to Indianapolis, and I had, I think, Gunther there, and he was straight. He was more of a blitzing guy, and I actually a lot. He played that cover 2 as well at Indy, And it was an easy one to pick up as well. Gary Brackett and all those guys, it was an easy defense to pick up. So they were all good guys, and they all kind of played the same way that OU played a lot of the times. And they had defensive ends, and they just let everybody go and play ball.
Yeah,
that's what I loved about playing football.
Yeah.
If you knew your stuff, and you just let you go out there and play ball.
So before we get to LSU, K-State, and USC, I wanted to tell y'all about my D coordinators and also tell y'all a funny story about BV. Mine were, y'all were with me, but I had Rivera, and then I had, Monty Kiffin in Tampa, and then who do we have? We had Zimmer in Cincinnati, Roy. The funny story, again, before we get into those, Rufus is really going to laugh at this. We did pass pro against y'all one day in the offseason, and I think what's taken for granted is the competition that we had between coaches. So we had Sumlin at this point, and he had Venables. Well, we go do this pass pro one day. We do this pass pro one day, and we win. And the media, there was like some message board that goes and puts every one-on-one down straight. BV prints it off and puts it on his board. So I walk by his room, and I'm like, damn, what's our name doing up over there? Fam, he studied them damn things and roasted their ass all weekend. The next spring practice, they sprint over, dog. And I mean, everybody ran. We won one battle out of like 11.
And that when Dane Zaslow went with y'all?
Man.
And we messed up that man's knee.
Man, it was awful. But anyway, that was just a funny story. I mean, you talk about like just the competitive nature of just those dudes daily in practice, in inside drill, in pass pro, in you talked about individual drill, dog. The linebacker, that was a different beast back in linebacker. Y'all would do so many. Y'all would stay after fam and do bag drills after practice. Like it's nothing.
Did it wrong. But I remember that year you're talking about too. They moved Dane Zaslow was at linebacker, and they moved him to fullback. And they went over there. We went through pass rush. Boom, boom, boom. Somebody bull rushed him. His knee collapsed over. And BV said, man, fuck him, move to the side.
Let's get hurt, fuck it, move over there, let's move to the other side of the field.
He went, He said, fuck it, move over to the side. We got to get this work. And we kept on going.
I got to go straight. You were there, K-State. Roy, I have to double apologize to you. Straight, you weren't there against USC. But give me your thoughts on the 3 games that I brought up.
The K-State game was, it was such a blur. It was just so much stuff going on that game. Shit, I don't even know. Everything just felt funny, felt different from the time we knew we was going to the Big 12 Championship. It just felt funny, and shit, once we got to the game, everything just started unfolding. I don't even know what happened, really.
I was a redshirt freshman, and I remember it. It was just, I think it was the disbelief that Mike was leaving.
Yeah, it was a whole lot of...
And he was different on the sideline when he approached
because he really wasn't...
there.
He wasn't doing what he do.
Because I watched one time when the guys came off the field and they messed up, and he was coming to scream, and he took a deep breath, and then he talked to everybody.
That's when they was talking about, they got to be calm. So if you go in Arizona, you can't be a head coach all fiery and all this other shit. But at that time, it was still like shaky if he was going or not. So it was always like, we don't really know, but then at the end of the day, it was like, shit, we still didn't go out there and do what we need to do.
I still remember, like, when he took a deep breath and he turned and talked, and usually he was...
Yeah, he coming.
He coming like right now, and he wasn't that same guy because he didn't want to have that. I'm going to be a head coach or whatever. They want that look of this maniac.
And everybody picked up on it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like you said, everybody picked up on it. It was just like, so what the hell is going on?
Linebacker-wise, though, that K-State game, BV was in there chasing ghosts. We was in meetings making checks that night of, and we hadn't even gone to sleep yet. Yeah. Teddy was in there. Okay, he may do this or whatever, and they may do this and that. They were linebacker. They were out looking for sprint draw. We were looking for draw. We were looking for zone read. We were looking for quarterback run game. It was like chasing ghosts out there. And they came down there and ran a simple draw, a simple draw out the back door off the pirate. Boom, out the gate. Then a little screen.
Before I bring Roy in, I know you have a lot of feelings, Roy, just because you were a rookie and second-year guy on that time. And you talked a little bit off air just about possibly you left as a junior. And I got more stories about that because you were a great host for recruiting when I was even leaving. So that was great. But, again, if you can, just tell people what you thought about that time and how you feel about it now.
I was thinking about league.
I'm telling you, shit.
No, honestly, it was it was kind of a bittersweet. You know what I mean? I even remember we were in the music hall when we had our awards in there, and I was just like, man, it was just like, dude, it's like these are my brothers. You know what I mean? It was like, honestly, I was like, fuck, I don't want to leave these dudes. You know what I mean? But then
all came up. Like,
yeah, we all came together. You know what I mean? And it was just like, man, I really don't want to leave. You know what I mean? But I had a lot of guys like, nah, Roy, go get it. You know what I mean?
Leave,
you know what I mean? It
You
was
had
just,
to. You got to go. You got to go.
You had to leave.
I don't think how you could top that.
It was
you know, the crazy thing about it was the only thing that they, like, people were saying for me was like, hey, you know, if you come back, you can win the Jim Thorpe again. You know what I mean? And they were like, you can, you know, you'll be up there for the Heisman, you know, candidate. And I was just like, you know, and then what really like took it over the top was when I talked to Bob and was like, you know what? Bob was like, I get it. He was like, but before you make a decision, he was like, just call the league office and see where you're projected. You know what I mean? They were like, said top 15. I was like, I'm gone.
Don't say it.
I was like, I'm gone. But you know, it was this. So I mean, it was a tough decision, and you know what I mean. When I accepted my Jim Thorpe Award and they came back here in Oklahoma and I talked about it, man, I just broke down because there was so many emotions. Because it was like, man, these are my young dogs. You know what I'm saying? That we've been through a lot. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's just like, man, I don't want to have to give this up. And I mean, and honestly, I wish the NFL was more like college because it was more of a family.
Me too.
You know what I mean? There's no one making more money than somebody else. Somebody has a mega contract. Everybody's just out there to win for the love of the game, the camaraderie, and you know, and that's one thing I missed about going to the league and you know going to the Rose Bowl and watching them play Washington State. I mean, it was awesome, and that's what I was telling you guys. It was like, man, I feel that if I would have stayed, I think would have been playing for the national championship just because I feel that. The games that were lost, I think we would have won just off the strength of I knew what being on the football field would have mean to the other guys out there. You know what I mean? So, I mean that's what we were talking about.
By the way, I've overheard Mike Stoops my freshman year saying the 2001 defense was the only thing he loved more than his wife and kids.
True statement.
So
no, I mean it's I understand that, but you got to understand. When he came in '99, you know what I'm saying, the basically, honestly, the shit show that he walked into, you know what I mean? You got to understand, in '98, we had Blake, and then we were off, like, we had probably about 6 or 7 months off, you know what I mean? My aunt was in the what was that? The
dining hall or something?
The dining hall, whatever it was called. I don't even remember what it's called now.
The Wag.
Wag the calf.
Nah, it was the Wagner, was it? Was it called Wagner?
It was the Wagner. Yeah.
Right behind the bud?
Yeah.
Oh, well, Wagner.
There it is.
Miss,
shows how much time you spent in there.
No, I was always in there, dude. Boy, I was always in there.
What you talking about?
They wouldn't let you take carry out.
No.
I was pissed off.
But,
Stacey O hating ass.
Dude. Stacey always hating.
But, you know, so we ballooned. I mean, I know I ballooned up. I mean, we didn't work out, you know what I mean? But, you know, so... And then, you know what I'm saying, and them, we basically, you know what I'm saying, they sculpted us into what they wanted us to be. And honestly, we were literally like the perfect canvas, and they painted the perfect picture. Yeah. I mean, so I understand what he meant by what that statement meant, because, I mean, you got to think about it. Dude, we had just some young, hungry kids that wanted to be great. You know what I mean? Like literally when Bob came on, we had a meeting. My 98 class, we had a meeting. Like, yo, who's gonna leave, who's gonna stay? You know, because the guys was like, man, F this, man. I came in with Blake, we don't want a new coach. You know what I mean? And I was like, dude, my boy Deshaun Foxworth at UCLA was like, dude, y'all, you know you can come here still, you know, Bob Toledo welcome open arms, and I was like, I contemplated it, but I was like, dude, I'm looking at all my brothers' faces, and I'm like, nah, let's do something special. You know what I mean? And so, you know, '99 we had a good season, and then come 2000, you know, it was just, I mean, we had some dogs. Like we just had some hungry kids that wanted to have fun on the football field and just celebrate each other's victories.
You know what it was? I think it was y'all had been through all of the other stuff leading up to '99 and 2000, to when it all just culminated, everything that came together the right way. And just the whole team atmosphere was right. It wasn't no offense, defense. It was the whole team. Yeah. And everybody felt like they needed to do their job on the team to make us reach the goal that we want to reach and shit.
And I thought that off season, I think the summers make you more hungry to play because it was so brutal. Yeah, you be like, you're so mad. You're so mad when you came to the field.
Dude. I mean, season is like a vacation for him.
No doubt. Yeah.
But on another thing, not to cut you off, but like Rufus, like you said on the UCLA game, you were talking about how everybody was not getting reach, everybody was in position.
Right.
That's how 2000 defense was, the 2001 defense. Everybody, it was just like poetry in motion. Yeah. Everybody did their jobs. Like, no one, you would not really see many people on the ground. We would not get cut. You know what I'm saying? Defensive linemen wouldn't get, cut off from their blocks. Everybody was always in the right run fit. Everything was so clean when we played. It was just like...
It was the best thing about it is we policed ourselves. It was like, come on, man, you're supposed to be right here. Let's go. You know what I mean?
And that never... and that probably happened literally probably about 5 to at least 8 times in the whole season. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because everybody... that's how... that's why when Mike says, that 2001 defense was, like, the best, we... And that's no... disrespect to any other defense. Like, dude, when you watch that film, dude,
it was
like we changed our line of scrimmage. Yeah. You know what I mean? The D line and just everybody. Like we played at such a high level. You know what I mean? Because of the other guys that were there before, like the Torrance Marshalls and the Ramon Richardsons, and all those guys. It was just like, dude, we played with such a chip on our shoulders because, I got tired of getting cussed out. I got cussed out for doing shit right. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, it's just like...
The worst part was getting cussed out and then going in the meeting, you get cussed out again.
The same thing.
Same thing. And they talk to you later, and they start thinking about it and cuss you out again.
Dude, I feel you. Now you feel my pain.
Now you know my 3 times. Damn.
Roof, you've already talked a little bit about the K-State game. Let's go to you for USC, and then if you don't mind, your thoughts. You were around for Boise. I was actually at that game. The 2 games I was at that year, Chicago, we beat Arizona. It was terrible. It was terrible. I got to go to the Monday night game. I was with the Bears that year when we came back on the it was the Cardinals. Devin Hester returned the kick at the very end. Yeah. So that was a crazy game. And then I come to see y'all. So tell me about what you thought about USC and Boise.
USC, a lot of people was confused in that game. And it looked like it was that way on the field. I remember, that was around when Coach Venables was coming into his own as a defensive coordinator, and he had a lot of checks. And I would look at Lance, and Lance had glossed over for a minute because he really didn't know some of the stuff, the checks or whatever. And we'd be in practice, and he was getting yelled at. Clint was out there. It was Clint first year, kind of coming into his own, and so Clint would freeze up and be like, "Man, what do you check right here?" He'd be like, and then BV would go off, and then there was a lot of a little bit of headbutting as well in practice and stuff between the co-defensive coordinators and stuff. So, we get to the game and it just came out on the field. We started off hot, and I think Norm Chow kind of figured out what we were doing by that second half when they kind of got the ball and the game slowed down for him, and he realized what we were doing. Because, when we would check palms, Liner would just check to the 2 seam routes every time. And we come to the sideline and it was like, man, coach, they know what we calling. And he's like, nah, they don't know.
How you going to tell me when I just watch this?
Coach, I'm telling you, they know what we doing. So it kind of, it was one of those things where after the touch of the punt and then Mark Bradley threw that ball back inbounds when he was going out of bounds, it just kind of snowballed after that. I think we had 2 bad we had that punt touch, they scored a touchdown, and then we drive in. Mark Bradley catches a really good pass on the sideline, and he throws it back in. They call it fumble, and USC get it. And then it was like after that, it just went just nosedive. And the guys we had on the team. You talking about Jamal Brown, Davin Joseph. You talk about Adrian Peterson, guys that all went to the league. Dan Cody. The list can go on. Dante Nicholson.
Yeah.
You had Brodney Poole over there playing as well. I mean, all guys that went to the league and played for a little while. And all those, I mean, we came up so short. I mean, it was the most embarrassing thing that I've been a part of. It was horrible. Even I take that loss worse than the Boise State one because, you know, you playing for a national championship. I was a sophomore in there trying to, you know, do what I can, but it was just like, you know, the senior leadership kind of let us down at that point. Because, I mean, you had guys that came to the sideline and was like, shit, no, you go on in freshman. You know what I mean? That's how it was for real. That's how it turned. That's what it turned into. Well, it was just that bad.
But it's not just on y'all, man. There was some, I don't want to say infighting, but for us, the competition at receiver. I mean, we had so many receivers at that point. And then, by the way, you had some guy named Adrian Peterson who got 2,000 yards. And so, to me, it boiled down, Roof, to, and I still want to get your thoughts about Boise. You ain't ducking that. But my biggest thing is I think we just lack camaraderie, whether it was missing D tackles, whether it was not selling all. We did a really good job. It was our most talented offensive team is what you brought up. Right. Early on, we bought into AD. We bought into he was going to win us games, and then Jay White's arm could bail us out if we needed to. And then, you know, you brought up the Bradley play. That one hurt, man. It hurt us as an offense. You could just feel it on the sidelines. But, again, I just want to get your thoughts about, you know, and talking about some of your preparation for Boise.
Well, you know, Boise was one of those things where, you know, we watching them on film, and they wasn't really great on film. I mean, you look at them, it wasn't a good team. They would just do everything right. They just played hungry. They played like, you know, we wanted to play. They were hungry as hell. Yeah. And we came out there. We spotted them 21. Yeah. I think it was. Yeah. I think PT threw a pick six. He threw 3 interceptions and pretty much gave him the ball with short field position, and it just kind of went downhill early. And then we kind of battled our way back. Yeah, you couldn't stop the bleeding, but we sitting there in that game, and I mean, the Ian Johnson guy, he was supposed to be this big-time rusher dude. He was trash. And I was telling him, every time I tackled, I think I had 18 tackles in that game, and I was telling that dude he was trash. Yeah. Every time I tackled him. Right. And then we came to the sideline. I remember when we came to the sideline, we were down. I was like, man, I think I cussed everybody out. I was like, man, we out here getting beat by these sorry-ass just going off. Yeah. And
sometimes we gotta let it go.
Gotta let it go.
Yeah, you know, we let it go. Then we climbed back in the game. Ian Johnson comes to the sideline. I stripped him out of the ball. Boom, we get the ball back, turnover. We go down, we score. We had like a few other ones where we stopped them, and then Cuddy, Marcus Walker picked 6-1. I mean, we like defensively, we started to, you know, we settled in and came back, and then you had all the trick plays and all that stuff that happened in that game. You know, it's just
crazy.
It was just their moment, man. I mean, they did the hook and ladder, they did the halfback pass. The halfback pass. What was crazy is Zach Lack called it out before it happened, and he played it, and it was
pretty well.
It was
good pass.
Good pass.
Sometimes it just don't go your way like that, but.
And then the Statue of Liberty, you know, they set it up. They called the timeout. You know, he was talking about it. It was like, they're gonna do that play, and Coach, they ain't gonna do that shit. And when we get back on the field, Statue of Liberty happens, and then, but it kind of went to our season. It was the game where Malcolm Kelly, he gets hurt, he doesn't play in there, and then you got PT used to throwing the ball to a 6'4" guy. Now he's throwing to a 6'1" guy on a fade route. Q Chaney came into the game. He hadn't played much all year long.
AD been hurt, coming back.
Been hurt. He came back. He didn't get going until later on in the game. I mean, you had a rhythm with AP in the game, with Alan Patrick in the game. And now you all of a sudden have to make a way for Adrian to go ahead and play his last game in college. And then the game ended the way, man, it was, like we said, like we talked about earlier, everybody playing their responsibility. It showed that everybody was supposed to play their responsibility. You stop the play. And at the end of that game, you see the tight end and tackle and the defensive end and the cornerback are inside both those guys. And you kind of, when I saw the play happen, I'm running downhill. I'm like, oh, you got to turn back, And he kept going wide. Yeah. And you see it ends, but at the end of the day, you go back and you look at it, you know, football's still the same. You play your responsibilities. You play for the person beside you. And if you take care of your responsibility, that guy going to help you out. Yeah. Either one of us is going to make the tackle, but you all have to do what you're supposed to do. Yeah. And that play on that night, that everybody... The 2 guys that were supposed to do, did not do it, and it just
that's all it takes. That's all it takes is one.